When we come for Easter, we get the biggest lights, we get all the cameras, we get the jib doing the sweeping shots, and it looks like, woo!
So Easter, Good Friday, Holy Week, all those productions were like a bunch of different productions that just took over March.
Easter is Alfred Street Super Bowl. That's the Christian Super Bowl to me. And so we like to do it big, we like to go all out.
You know, it's one thing to have a vision, it's another to see it come into fruition. And Good Friday is for Alfred Street, that's when we let the ladies shine. And you know, in some churches, we still don't give women the platform that they deserve, but that service is specifically about the ladies. It's just so powerful to hear the story of what happened to Jesus on that night told through the voices of women, and it was a powerful service.
Free from temper tantrums on Twitter, free from children taking first grade classes in your house and not the schoolhouse. But in addition to faith, the experience of
Good Friday service and the way that the team really envisioned it and pulled it together was probably the embodiment of what I think is the real strength of our church during this pandemic, and that's a lack of fear to try something new to bring God glory.
Good Friday was a remarkable and overwhelming experience.
So my creative process is not normal. Like, I see pictures of things or visuals and then get an idea and then get a vision for something. And I saw a picture of a cross decorated with florals. And I said that would be really cool to do our Good Friday service with a setting like that.
And so a lot of people kept asking me, like, is it okay to do something like this? This is a day of sadness. Jesus just died on the cross and these are his 7 last sayings. Should we be doing this in all white?
And there was all this conversation, all this work, you know, in the background around what is the set gonna look like?
Like, Dr. Judy had to have gotten like at least 4 or 5 different phone calls just from me asking, like, is this okay to do? Are we supposed to have this?
And if we hear any melodic sounds, it better be from these two, okay?
So we had ordered like hundreds and hundreds of roses to go on the cross along with the greenery. And then the day of, found out we couldn't use them, so then we had to repurpose them, and we'll show you how we repurpose them later.
At the end, we ended up decorating the front of the church because we knew a lot of stuff had to get recorded out there. It was still orchestra videos and all that good stuff that still needed to get shot.
You know, to walk in, first of all, offset. We have never really recorded offset. And to see the entire team there, to see the white flooring, to see Yaya running around trying to get the smoke up off the ground and a white piano, and you're sitting there going, man, how is all this gonna come together?
We're in a sound studio and everything is white and there's a smoke machine. We had a smoke machine.
You know, realizing we've got all these preachers that we've got to pull together, but it shows that God can be glorified in new and exciting ways, and this pandemic has really taken away, I should say, this understanding that church is just in this building, in these confines, with this look, but they were finding new and exciting ways to worship God.
It was absolutely beautiful. It was like nothing I've ever seen before that Alfred Street has done. And I am super proud of how we were able to execute Good Friday.
I was like, yes, 7 words with a million things. I mean, you can just find them. Right.
And I will tell you, I walked in and was like, man, this is going to be something. Either this is going to be great or this is going to stink. I mean, it's either going to be successful or it's going to fall through the floor and the deacons are going to vote me out of here. Praise be to God that it was the former and not the latter, but it really was a great service.
Problem with bleeding on the cross and Jesus only saying, Father, forgive them,
Sunrise service. Sunrise service was fun. I was nervous about it. I didn't want it to rain. And I wanted to make sure that everything that we did just enhanced what God was already doing.
Angie's like, girl, so we doing sunrise service. You coming? I said, yeah, I'll be there. What you talking about, baby? What time I'm supposed to be there? What I gotta do? So she's like, actually, we probably need to be out there at 4:30. I'm gonna have my ice and my coffee, and I'm gonna be there, and we're gonna set up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, all right? I'm like, all right, bet.
We did sunrise service in the chapel garden at the seminary, which is kind of the ruins of a former chapel that has a table outside.
The idea was to, well, we're just gonna use the light to help illustrate that just in case. And explaining that to Reverend Dr. Judy Finchers-Williams, she said, okay, well, I trust you guys, so however you guys put it together, it'll be fine.
And what was amazing, it was when I got onto the set, the lighting folks were really busy. There was a lot of emphasis on the light.
What's gonna be the temperature of the field, lighting wise, audio, what are we gonna hear, or do birds chirp here?
When is the sun coming up? Where is it coming up? And I know the team had been there before to time it. So timing mattered in this service because we wanted to get the light at the right times.
That Angie done figured out how to make the light, the aperture, do a sunrise, just in case if the sun didn't rise.
They're doing their thing. My job was to show up and do what I was supposed to do in this time frame. Like, don't mess it up, because you don't have do-overs on sunrise service, right? There's one sunrise.
So we already knew this shoot was going to be blessed. We're going to get everything that was imagined, and you know, we're good. This was it.
And when I looked through the lens before we started recording, it looked beautiful.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Well, for Easter, the worship arts team, we met almost weekly to just figure out what the ideas, to flesh out ideas. And that went on for maybe a month.
You know, everything is good.
So it was a lot of making sure that we had rehearsals and the video recordings aside from the audio recordings for the videos.
Starting up in 5, 4, 3, 2,
And I was just bent on it not looking like how our Corona worship services have been looking. I thought it would be cooler if we just used the whole building.
Yeah, so walking in and seeing the brand new sanctuary and really all the tech that was in there, because one of the things I think people fail to see, which is why the church left the building is so great, are the behind the scenes. And there's so much tech that has to go in to produce the excellence that people are now becoming accustomed to.
I think the first thing that happens when you come in the sanctuary is you realize you're in a production studio. I mean, it didn't feel like the sanctuary usually feels. It felt like this is where production happens. I think that huge scaffolding in the sanctuary, pews removed, extra cameras, lights. And so you're aware of the level of production that we're doing here for the Easter service.
My thought when I walked in and saw all the rigging, the lighting, the cameras, I mean, we're talking about cameras scrolling through and lighting sets, was that this church will never be the same again. And the question we now wrestle with is not what are we going back to, because I don't think we can ever go back. The question is, what is the future going to look like for us? How do we maintain this excellence? How do we bring in this lighting, this rigging, this tech that exposes the grace of God in an excellent manner for a world who needs to see it like that?
Our AV department, creative production, just knowing what to provide for us to have a great looking production. The lights were elaborate. The having the crane so we'll be able to have different shots even up in the balcony.
You know, I think the leadership, because, you know, no matter what crazy idea we come up with, as long as I've logistically sorted it out, they're usually okay with going forward with it. And, you know, so appreciate y'all. I know I give y'all a lot of headaches.
Listen, Alfred Street, we can never go back to the place where we just pack in service, there's a camera on the back, and we just press on. We'll never be able to do that again, not honoring the stewardship of this season and how the Lord has taken us in new ways. So, you know, regardless of the worship, my mind was thinking about the future and saying, wow, we'll never be the same again.
Judy came in and she said, how are we going to go back? Literally, that was the first thing she said. How are we going to go back after this?
Quit that. Quit that. Quit that. Quit that. Quit that. What's happening? Quit that.
You know, Versus kind of evolved the same way everything has during this pandemic. An idea in someone's mind then gets fertilized in conversation, then gets embodied and enabled by a tech team, an AV team who believes, hey, we can do anything, Pastor. You throw it out there, we'll find a way to get it done. And that really is part of the miracle of what's happening during the season. You get the right people in the right place behind the right technology, and there's no limit to what we believe God can do.
Thank everybody for coming out. Y'all are an amazing team. Thank you. So before everybody gets here, we're gonna go ahead and run through the intros.
I love the way Bible matters at Alfred Street, and Bible trivia is something I had hoped we would do for a long time.
We spin on something that's really old school in the Baptist church. Go back to the days of Bible drills and memorizing scripture. Some of you.
Pastor Wesley is in a PhD program, as many people know, and this is a period of time where he actually has like 20 to 30 page papers that he has to do at various points.
Use it for a different question. And use this one just saying.
He was scheduled to do Bible study for the summer months, and we said, well, maybe we can give him a bit of a break by doing a fun game show or a trivia of some sort.
We've gotten through our quarterfinal round, and now we're here at the semifinals where 4 teams have made it.
I think Pastor and Dr. Judy went into Versus thinking that it was going to be less work than coming up with their lessons for Bible study, but honey child.
They're battling for the last and final spot. We're just talking about how to take a little break from regular Bible study to do something other than Can I Push It and OTOG. And I was like, you know what, we used to do Bible trivia on Tuesdays every now and then in the church. Let's find a way to do Bible trivia online during this pandemic. Bible trivia champion for the year of 2021. Let's meet our teams for tonight.
All right,
and we said, we can just have like some 6-foot tables, have some contestants sitting behind them, name cards, and just like a fun Bible trivia.
You thought I was about to have some high boy tables in here.
And what went from like 6-foot tables with basic tablecloths turned into an entire game show set created by none other than Yannette Jones.
Listen, let me tell you something. If you give Yaya an idea, she gets so excited, you got to calm her down. She's in 5th gear while you're still trying to find what car to drive.
With the game show people, the podiums that you actually saw, that came from that game show company. Because, honey child, I was trying to figure out how to build them joints myself.
Yaya runs off with it. And then, of course, now I'm going to take credit because I'm saying, we see all these verses battle with, the musicians. Let's do Verses, VERSES, about Bible study. And it was on and cracking. All of you during this pandemic have been tuned into Verses on social media. We've seen some amazing battles between Brandy and Monica, between Earth, Wind, and Fire and the Isley Brothers. And who will ever forget Patti LaBelle versus Gladys Knight? Well, today, and for the next few Tuesdays, we've got our own version of Verses that we think you're going to enjoy.
And speaking of the game show, obviously we had to come up with questions, and by we, I don't mean me. I mean the ministerial team. They came up with questions for the contestants.
Let's do something around Satan real quick. Let's just talk out loud. What are the other names of Satan? We've spent hours working on Bible trivia. When I say hours, I mean hours. Every show was preceded by probably 4 hours of Bible study and a question crafting and answering and making certain that we had biblical answers. The interns got involved.
Maybe we can use the Jesus in the wilderness for a different question and use this one just say Old Testament.
The thing about Bible trivia is you can know the Bible really well and you could have studied the Bible your whole life, but that doesn't mean that you will remember under the heat of the light how many times the dove went out from Noah's Ark.
Who knows that? Like who? Who?
There's pressure because people are worried that if they get it wrong that somehow they're going to look less saved. It's a game. And the whole idea behind verses was that people would learn. So if you didn't know before how many times the dove flew out, or if you didn't know who Eutychus was, you know now.
Peter was very easy.
That was a very easy category. Because I feel like that's what we hear about the most.
Right,
the disciples and
right.
what they did.
So the gift of verses is that people had an opportunity to study and learn things that they hadn't done before. I loved the different game formats. I loved the way the teams had conversations together.
All right, time is up. Mary stayed with Elizabeth for this amount of time. What is 3 months? You are correct.
But the way that they grew, so that we were using different genres of games. I loved the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire genre with the phone a friend.
Help them out, Dr. Judy.
If they just watch my face, I'm gonna help them.
Again, from a production level, this church took it to a different level. I mean, the game show board, the music. So we took it to another level so that when folks watched it, they felt like they were watching a show complete with commercials. So it was really, really amazing. I loved being a part of that.
That's what I'm talking about, because I put my hair in rollers.
Her hair is definitely hit that microphone.
Work that the Lord has done.
Hold on, let me turn the game.
That show impacted so many lives. I think that was probably one of our greatest moments for Alfred Street during 2021.
If I can be honest, that's part of the joy of pastoring. I don't have to multitask. I don't have to be an expert in everything. I don't have to know a thing about this camera and that tech. All I've got to do is what I've been called to do, because God has put the right people to do what they've been called to do. And there's no worry, there's no fear. We've got the right people doing the right thing.
I'm laughing at the fact that we thought they were going to be at high tables and we were going to have.
We did.
We were going to
stick
tables.
I thought about that,
yes.
With a tablecloth
and
now a whole game show.
And we're ready in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good morning. It's great to be here representing the Deacons Ministry.
Okay, so this is where if Pastor's not doing the questions and he don't want to just stand there, you can sit here and same for Dr. Judy. While you're sitting there, you should be off camera. Is she out of your shots?
Give it a little pump, give it a little horn blow. Our God is great and greatly to be praised.
FedEx Field.
Hallelujah.
So there's a lot of anxiety going in the FedEx Field, and I know I shouldn't say that with this whole series going on, but we've never done something like that. An outdoor service that literally can hold about 5,000 people. And my first question is, do we even have 5,000 people? Like, Lord, are we gonna, because think about it, if we go out to FedEx and 12 cars show up, this is gonna be an embarrassment to the kingdom.
And so the plan was to have people park every other parking space, kind of still socially distant, and put speakers and screens all throughout the parking lot to make sure that it was still an enjoyable experience for everyone. So everyone go down there.
Yeah, everybody go down there.
And everyone's passing out communion down there.
Okay.
Who's on the truck with the community?
But we start putting it together.
That's a good question.
Leadership got behind it. The budgeting came together, the visionary team, then the music and worship arts. It was an all hands on deck kind of affair where all I had to do was preach. The music started coming together, and it made me realize how much I miss corporate worship.
Marcus Johnson, who's the music director, started putting a list of songs together, and they were all of like the Alfred Street favorites. And I was like, we're all gonna be laid out on the ground out here on FedEx on this concrete.
Everybody came the week before FedEx and had 2 5-hour rehearsals.
And we started putting the music together, the choir, they started rehearsing. I actually snuck into one of the rehearsals and got to hear some of the songs they were singing.
Even being at the rehearsal on the walkthrough that Saturday before, I was satisfied. just to be back around Alfred Street and our music and our dancers.
They did all of that preparation so that when the day came, everybody was ready and everybody was excited to go on that stage and sing.
And it wasn't until, I think it was the day before in one of those rehearsals when I heard the choir singing that I really started getting excited.
And then to show up on Sunday, to God be the glory, to just step out and see our family, to see church again. Man, I don't know about you all, but I have missed corporate worship. We can't do it safely in the building, but we're able to do it safely at FedEx. And it was just amazing.
And you look out at this congregation and realize that Alfred Street has always been more than brick and mortar. It's always been more than a building.
It's been 16 months since we worshiped together. So let's go ahead and do it the way we do it at Alfred Street, right? Well, let's bow as we thank God for this.
But it ended up being perfect. It was like 82 degrees. There was a nice breeze that came every 5 to 10 minutes. And there were some clouds that even hovered over every so often. So it was actually pretty comfortable. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. And it was a beautiful day. I actually still have no words for how amazing that service was.
To be there and to walk through the parking lot and see so many people and wave, to see children's faces, to see members who I haven't seen since before I went on sabbatical. That was probably one of the greatest days of Alfred Street. Besides Easter, when we were off site, I'm gonna rank this as the second greatest worship I've had the joy of experiencing at our church.
It's only a 40-minute drive. I mean, people that live in DPA, obviously, that's different.
53 from church.
See, sure. Okay. Do you want to speak to her? Bring it down. Then why go higher?